Hello again, everybody. This is Steve Kallas, speaking of sports, and we're here to preview the two AFC divisional games this weekend. The first game we're going to talk about is the Titans, who you know upset the Patriots, have to go to Baltimore and play the number one seed Ravens. The Ravens have been unbelievable, actually, since they destroyed the Patriots in New England 37-20. They haven't lost a game since then. They've been nothing short of spectacular. Lamar Jackson should be the MVP of the league. But the Titans are kind of like the Ravens in that they both have punishing run attacks. Titans quarterback Tannehill is not a great runner. He's not Lamar Jackson. But they have Derrick Henry, who led the league in rushing. He also led the league in yards after contact. He averaged 2.7 yards a carry. Think about that. Every time he carried the ball and got hit, on average, he went 2.7 yards more. That's incredible in the NFL. So he was the man against the Patriots, 182 yards rushing. He was the reason they won. A lot has been made about Ryan Tannehill. He's saved his career, replacing Mariota in Week 7. And I'm going to give you some stats for the Titans from Week 7 on. Some of these stats are like video game numbers. You just can't believe what they are. For example, since Week 7, in the red zone, they've scored 88% touchdowns on all of their red zone possessions. That's incredible. They're first. The Ravens are third best, and they have 42%, just to give you some kind of differential there. Tannehill was given a lot of credit for going 7-3 in the regular season when he took over, but 6 of those games were against losing teams. But they also did beat the Chiefs. That was the 7th game, so that's a big win. And they, beat the Patriots last week, so that was a big win, and they beat them in Foxborough. So the Titans, coached by Mike Vrabel, former Patriot linebacker, Bill Belichick disciple, they certainly have a chance. And, the spread is 9.5 or 10. Ravens are favored. I think the Ravens will win, but I think that spread is too high because just by the running game that the Titans have, and again, that really opens it up for Ryan Tannehill. That's the other reason I think he's been really good. Not only were they not playing the greatest competition, but when you have a great running back, and this year Derrick Henry was a great running back, obviously your play-action pass is going to work a little better. I want to give you a few stats on the Ravens. Lamar Jackson by himself is 6th in the league in rushing, a quarterback 6th in the league in rushing. Think about that. They're plus minus in the first quarter. They're plus 97 for the season. They always get out in the lead. They're number one in the NFL. And the one player to focus on is Mark Ingram, who's another, Jackson and Ingram are the running game for the Ravens. He didn't practice for 2 days. We're taping this on Thursday. Just before I came here, I saw a report that he was out practicing today. Maybe not at full speed, but at least he can practice today. So that should, in theory, help him. Of course, they're comfortable with Gus Edwards. I don't think he's quite the same as Mark Ingram. But again, I think this is a game where the Ravens win the game. I don't think they cover a 10-point spread. I do give the Titans a puncher's chance because they have such a good running game, and that's certainly the reason that they beat the Patriots last week. The second game we're going to talk about, the Texans go to Kansas City to play the Chiefs. Now, I think the Texans were very lucky last week. Look, Deshaun Watson was like a miracle worker. I understand that. They came back from 16-0 down to win 22-19 in overtime, and Watson was fabulous. But I really don't think they played that well. I think they were lucky the Buffalo quarterback was essentially a rookie who had no playoff experience, who crumbled in the fourth quarter mentally. You'll recall some of the plays he made, runs for 20 yards, laterals the ball backwards, almost threw an interception into Roby's arms. He threw it into Roby's arms, Roby dropped it. They took a sack and then took another sack when they were in field goal range. I think a lot of it had to do with the breakdown of the Bills' offense by mainly their quarterback. But again, you have to give the Texans credit. They came back from 16-0 in the playoff game, and they won 22-19. But this is another team. They're going to play the Chiefs. And I'm going to read you a couple of stats for the Chiefs. Obviously, their defense has been suspect the last few years. They lost a shootout to the Patriots in the playoffs last year. But this year, in the last 6 games, The Chiefs defense has allowed 11.5 points per game. That's pretty good. They've only given up 5 touchdowns, and they had 10 interceptions. That's really good. And most importantly, of course, they won all 6 games. The other stat I want to give you is most passing touchdowns on the run in the last 2 years. That's your quarterbacks out of the pocket, running side to side, throwing the ball. Mahomes is first with 18. And Watson is second, tied for second with 15. But on the flip side of that, the Texans have allowed 13 of those kinds of touchdowns. That is, the quarterback is running out of the pocket and throwing. The Texans have allowed 13 this year, most in the NFL, and the Chiefs have only allowed 2. That's 4th lowest in the NFL. So there is a difference there. You have 2 quarterbacks who can run. You have 2 quarterbacks who can throw it. But I think the Chiefs have an edge. And the biggest edge the Chiefs have, I think, is Mahomes is healthy now. You'll recall in Week 6, Texans 31, Chiefs 24 in Kansas City. But again, that was a game that Mahomes was hobbled with that ankle injury that he's had on and off for, a large part of the season. But now he seems to be healthy. I think they're going to have, a much better chance. And in fact, I think this is a game that can get out of hand because I think the Texans were lucky to win last week. They're lucky to be here this week. And the Chiefs, to me, are now clicking on all cylinders. If it gets to be Chiefs-Ravens for the AFC Championship game, I think that's the Super Bowl, but they're just playing it in the AFC Championship game. So I really like the Chiefs over the Texans. Again, I think the Texans were lucky to have won, although I give Watson full credit for bringing them back. J.J. Watt showed up and made some big plays coming back from that torn pectoral muscle. But I think the Chiefs are just going to be too much. And again, if you tell me the Texans beat them in Kansas City this year, you're right. But Mahomes was not Mahomes, and now he is Mahomes, and I think that's going to be the difference in the game. So in the AFC, I think it's going to be the Chiefs and the Ravens in the AFC Championship game the following week. This is Steve Kallas speaking of sports. We'll see you the next time.